Everyone, this is Izabela. I think your last name is pronounced Podlaska. Is that right?
Yes,
Podlaska.
Podlaska.
She's from Warsaw, Poland, and she's going to do a talk. Is this your first talk for Breaking Down the Borders?
Yes, the first one, yeah.
Oh, so we're really just getting to know you. So
Yeah.
she's going to do her first talk for Breaking Down the Borders. And her talk, because you're going to want to know this, and I'll remind you again at the end, is November 8th. That's Sunday. It is 4:30 a.m. to 6 a.m. So for those of you in the States and many other places, that's pretty early morning. However, if you buy the talk, you will get a recording of it. So don't hesitate to sign up because it's too early for you. We want her to get to know and have people from around the world get to know her as well. So don't let time zones scare you off. That's what Borders is all about, right? So Izabela, your talk is about the 8th house. Are you a modern or traditional astrologer, or do you have an assignment? Do you think of yourself one way or another?
That's a tricky question because nowadays there has been a lot of new techniques developed by modern astrologers, of course, but this revival of traditional astrology concerns us, of course. So I'm mixing techniques because I found very useful to know the roots of astrology, but we are living in a very changing and developing environment. So of course, for me, I adapt all these techniques and meanings also of planets, houses, and aspects, etc., to modern times, because, you know, for example, there hasn't been a job like, I don't know, web designer in the ancient Greek.
They were some kind of scribe, I'm sure. But but I appreciate that you're blending the two. You're integrating new and old. I was trained in modern and have, you know, migrated backwards toward the older techniques because they do work. And I noticed that your topic is related also to this. Your topic is about new ways to look at the nasty old 8th house. So we can talk about that a little bit.
Yes, 8th house, it's a little mysterious for all of us, of course, but for me, it's not so scary as some people would like to see this place in the chart. And I'm mostly practical astrologer. I'm focusing on, like you, what works and how it works. So I've been studying and teaching and practicing astrology for over 20 years. And I found this place in the chart, 8th house, very useful for starting the conversation, what I have in common with other people. I know it's not the very first thing that we think about the 8th house, but as a house second after the 7th house, which is in traditional astrology in horary, for example, that what we have income from something, yeah, from the 7th house, it's not only the money that we own, some people, or not only the money that we share with other people, but also emotions and experiences, first of all, that lay in our deep unconscious, maybe even, I don't know. But I found useful to think about 8th house as a place when all our experiences with other people, not family, but other people, new people, partners, that we have during our life. So it's a really interesting place because sometimes we don't want to remember all these bad stories, but they are there and wait for, I don't know, digesting, or, you know, to we don't know, because 8th house is very personal house. So we have to analyze very good the chart to find a way to those experiences that later.
Good point. The 8th house doesn't behold the ascendant. And those are always the houses that are murky, that we don't really see clearly because we're the ascendant. So,
Yes. Yes.
so you're saying that eighth house is linked to emotionally to other people, which is the seventh house, so the other,
Yeah.
about emotionally, but also about money. Yes, is that what you mean?
Yes, because like Venus, for example, it's our relationships, but also the money, the physical money that we earn. So the same with eighth house. It's the place that we have something that we could get something from other people, or to get something together with other people. And sometimes it's only money. And sometimes it's more, it's deep relationship or
Yeah.
some kind of revelation. I connect eighth house with psychology and psyche on a very basic level. So it's everything that we learn from other people too there.
Oh,
So sometimes we don't want to watch it again, this so-called film from the other relationship from the past, but it's still there, and some kind of it's our baggage, some kind. Sorry.
no, that's excellent. When I was studying modern astrology, I remember they said if the seventh house was marriage, the eighth house was intimacy, like that deep intimacy that only comes through
Yeah,
long
yeah.
marriages and time,
Good
and
point. I have the same view on this subject, because uh, this third quarter of the chart, this seventh, eighth, and ninth house, it's all three houses connected to other people in our lives. What we have with them, what we share with them. Eighth house, it's the shared beliefs. Seven, contracts and friendship, marriage, etc. And eighth, it's in between. Yeah, it's what we could work together with other people, but it's very interesting house. Yeah, and of course it's a house how we could influence other people through these experiences, emotions, and because when we are born and we have to gain some knowledge, experiences, and all these things are connected with 8, 7, 8, and 9 house.
that's true. In traditional astrology, I remember this because I missed it on a test once. In Hori astrology, the eighth house is about fears and worries. What do you make of that?
Yes, that's a good point. These emotions that we connect with water element in astrology, they are not always pleasant emotions. Yeah. So, but I think eighth house could be connected with pleasure too. Not maybe not some people connect it with sexual pleasure, but I think it's more fifth house, or more Mars and Venus. But you're right, this eighth house points in some kind of fear or anxiety, because when we connect with somebody, we love, we could love, we could have friendship, but we could also have fears about the future with this person, or etc. Yeah, so yeah, in horary planet or moon in eighth house, it's always the signification that we are in some kind of anxiety, and we are terrifying, mortified, cannot move.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and I see that often come up if there's something in the eighth house that's related to Hori. Oftentimes, what it's describing is the fears and worries of the querent. So
Yeah, because it's
I
a
relate.
danger. Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
relate.
out a danger.
My
For
eighth
me,
house
it's
is
not the
Taurus.
final, sorry.
I'm sorry. My eighth house is Taurus, and I have Uranus going through there right now. And indeed, I've had a lot of friends and pets die very suddenly. So that's a real fear, it's an everyday wake up, a little worried.
Yeah, eighth house is also this experience of the final, destination, so-called.
Really? I
But
thought that was the fourth.
yeah. But in some kind, when you are worried about somebody, you always could see the worst scenario.
Worst case, yeah.
Yeah, that's for me. Eighth house. It's more what we are fear of, not the fear, not the consequences of this fear. Yeah, because we could still in eighth house we could still be active. We could avoid danger or let it be with us. That's up to you
Yeah.
at some point.
So how are you going to lead us into your thoughts about how the eighth house has changed in your lecture? What are you going to show us, teach us?
It will be. It will be. I always want to be clear about how my symbolism and signification of the eighth house from what it comes. So I will present all this from the very basic level, but we quickly go to the high level, more advanced. But I'm very I'm when I teach astrology, I always take this route, what is come from. So we will see these quarters, basic symbolism of the houses, and then after a few minutes, of course, we will see what this place in a chart could represent. So it will be a quick repetition and then
Review. Yes.
Yes, yeah. Sorry, thanks.
I knew what you meant. Well, do you have example charts, or will you use participant charts?
Yes,
How will you do this?
yes. I will. I will do some 3 examples. Priscilla Presley. I remember. I will take her chart because she has very strong 8th house, and she's very competitive and very positive realization of this house, because she yeah, we'll see during the lecture, but I see that people with 8th house are very, when it comes to a very difficult situation, they are really quick recovering from the loss or from the, danger or fear, and they are very good leaders and very good I don't know, people who cope with life and with different circumstances. Sorry. So it will be some examples. Yeah, there will be some examples.
I can't wait for you to prove this point.
But in general, my view of 8th house is that you never know what you will see there. So that it's very mysterious, but it's not that like 12th house that you sit and wait for for the unknown. But in 8th house, you have to make effort to understand what it means. Yeah. And sometimes people don't want to know anything about themselves. That's the problem sometimes with 8th house.
That's true. And it's a succedent house, and that does require effort, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So is there anything else you want to tease us with about this talk?
I will give some advices and examples how to cope with very difficult realization of this house. So, but it will be mostly for beginners, but I hope that you will see something new for you during my lecture. So, I'm looking forward to seeing you all online.
Yeah, I'm studying about the same length of time as you have. And I always find those reviews when we go back and we go, oh, let's look at what this quadrant means again. It's so enlightening every time, because those basic things get lost and all the new techniques and things you learn, and they're so important, those fundamentals. So
yeah, basic is always useful because I tell always my students that you don't have to learn by heart anything from astrological books. They good to remind you about some inspiration that you could get, but knowing basic it's very creative, that you always could develop new meanings, but still have the basics which works with symbolism of astrological symbolism. Yeah.
I love that. That's great. So everybody, the talk again is, what did you title your talk? A lot of people have changed them. I just wrote down 8th house.
Yeah, honestly, I don't remember now because it has been a while. The mysteries of 8th house,
I think
maybe.
that's what it was. Yeah, the mysteries of the 8th house. And
Yeah.
it's on Sunday, November 8th at 4:30 to 6:30 a.m. Don't be scared of the time. Is it going to be delivered in Polish?
No, it will be in English.
Oh, that's important to know.
Yeah.
And so don't be afraid to sign up for it. And if you don't want to get up early, you can always get the recording of the lecture. And I wanted to mention, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I hope it will be some place for questions maybe after my lecture. I will leave 5 minutes for the audience, of course.
Well, you do know that all the 8th house people are going to show up, right? Hey!
Yeah. I hope so. Because
Yeah,
it's always good to learn from other people about some astrological configurations, and it never stops. Sorry.
okay. So I did want to mention that Izabela has a school. It's the Warsaw School of Astrology. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
And has many students and many courses, and is training people a sort of integrative astrology with the new and the old, if anyone's interested in that. And you can get in touch with Izabela where? What's your?
Through my email, maybe. Iza.podlaska at gmail.com.
Okay.
It will be, yeah. It's the
Cool.
easiest because it's Polish language. It's not easy to spell and to remember for English speakers.
I told Izabela that my dream name was Isabel when I was a child, because I got this silly, short, boyish name, and I really wanted a girly name, and that was the one I wanted. I had a pink octopus toy that I named Isabel. She was my favorite.
Octopus is my favorite animal, after cats, of course.
It's a very 8th house animal, don't you think?
Yes,
the octopus?
Yes. And I will have a picture of very old kind of octopus at the beginning of my talk, because it's really a creature connected with 8th house.
Isn't that synchronistic? I didn't even tell you that, did I? Well, mine was made of yarn and it was hot pink.
Yeah.
Still,
We
it was
only talked about cats.
Yeah, we did talk about cats. They're Saturn.
Yeah.
Well, it was so nice to talk to you and get to know you a little bit today, Izabela. And
Yeah.
And I really look forward to your talk.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to talk with you, and I hope we'll see each other at some point at the conference, maybe.
Oh, I forgot. Do come by. We have a foyer. It's a virtual lounge.
Cafe talk or some, yeah.
Yes. And a lot of times, if you invite them, students will show up afterwards, or attendees of the class. And sometimes people just, okay, sometimes people just hang around, other astrologers hang around. And
yeah, great idea, because it's easier to talk nowadays online.
Right. Okay, well,
thank you very much, and I'm really looking forward to giving this talk.
Oh, good afternoon. Good evening to you.
Yeah, good evening. Bye.